How you doing, my friends out there? It's the Oz Man. I'm gonna go out for a motorcycle ride, and it's a little cold today. It's a little chilly here in Los Angeles, which I'm surprised. We're supposed to be in the middle of summer here. It's supposed to be like 1,000 degrees, but today is a little chilly, so I decided to bust out the tall boots, the tall WESCOs. I was gonna wear my shorties over here. I even had them on for a little bit. But then I went outside and I said, you know what? I think this is tall boot weather. I think this is WESCO tall boot weather. So decided to bust them out. In the summertime, I don't wear the tall boots as much because of the heat. But today being a little chillier, I think I'm gonna take them. So, we'll go for a little ride and see how the day progresses. I might do a little, I don't think this boot got in very well. I might do a little bit of an Ozzy Osbourne tribute a little later. Ozzy died a couple days ago, and I've been meaning to do something with the guitar there. A little, maybe Crazy Train or something like that. Play a little bit of his music. I might even stop by Hollywood and visit a star a little later. We'll see how the day progresses. Even I got an AC/DC shirt on. I should be wearing an Ozzy shirt, but I don't have an Ozzy shirt. I have a Black Sabbath shirt, but not an Ozzy shirt. So if I go to Hollywood tonight, I'm gonna get myself an Ozzy shirt so I can be more appropriate for Ozzy. Ozzy, well, I don't want to go into it right now because I have to meet my friends and we're running a little late. But Ozzy's music had a lot of influence on me. It was a music that meant a lot to me. His solo stuff, his stuff with Black Sabbath, just all amazing music. And when a lot of famous people die, and you're like, well, that's like, for instance, Hulk Hogan died this week. And I don't really, it didn't affect me too much that he died because I never had this strong bond with Hulk Hogan. I knew who he was, but I was like, oh yeah, Hulk Hogan. And I think, who was the guy, is his name Steve Mangione, the guy who does jazz music? I think he died too. But once again, it didn't really affect me much because I'm like, oh yeah, well, that's too bad that guy died. But when Ozzy died, whew, and I tell you, that got me. But anyway, I'll try to get into more Ozzy Osbourne stuff a little later. Right now, why don't we go for a short ride? Bust out the WESCO tall boots, and then see how the day goes. All right. All right, my friends, let's go for the ride. All right, we just got some gasoline and about to head out to Bartell's Harley Davidson in Marina del Rey to meet up with my friends. We're supposed to be riding up to Santa Clarita somewhere. I know, I just follow the leaders, you know me. Anyway, let's keep it going. Let's keep the magic going. All right, my friends, so I'm headed to Harley Davidson, Marina del Rey, Bartell Harley. We're going to be headed up, I'm meeting up with my friends. We're going to be heading up to Santa Clarita, do some riding up around the twisties there, and eventually get lunch. But on my way up there, there was this big rock on the freeway. It was like humongous, and it was like bouncing all over the freeway, and it hit the back of my tire, my motorcycle, and I was concerned that it busted the rim or dented the rim or something because it was huge. So as you'll see a little later, I'm taking my saddlebags off and checking that there was no damage done. All right, I'm here in Bartell's. Gonna meet up with my friends. So I just gotta wait for them to show up. All right, we're here at, I don't know, Santa Clarita, and in front of a Carl's Jr. And there's all my biker friends. How you doing? Anyway, I gotta check my bike because a rock hit it. Johnny, we were riding in some rock. big ass rock hit the back of my tire. I'm gonna take the saddlebag off to make sure the rim is okay. But I was a little concerned about that.
Hey, you. Hey, Oz.
Checking on, I have to check my rim here. A big rock kind of smashed into it. So I'm taking the, I want to take the bag off so I can. No, I'm okay. I just want to make sure that the rim's okay. Because this rock, it's a bike.
Good morning.
So I just want to make sure that the rim, you know, it didn't damage the rim.
You went over it?
Yeah.
I was sticking my foot out.
No, I went over it. So that's why I'm worried. I wanted to check.
I was sticking my foot out.
What do you went over again?
This big rock on the freeway was huge. And it went that way, and it hit a car, and then it went back and hit me. So I just want to make sure that the rim doesn't happen.
What did the rock do? Because I
don't know. I mean, maybe
What did you feel like? You ran over it?
Yeah, I felt like I ran over it. Like I felt like it hit there, and I ran over it.
I was trying to warn you guys. Did you see me?
I saw it, but I mean, there's nothing I could do. It's already coming at me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, well, I mean, I guess it's okay. I don't see anything jumping out at me. So I'll just keep going.
You ran it over?
Yeah, I felt like the back went up a little bit. So I was concerned because, you know, what's her face? Connie had the same issue. She ran over a thing and a piece of wood and it bent her rim. So that's why I was concerned. But I don't see I can't see anything that's obvious. So I'll just put the bag back on and see how it goes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to check the, you know.
Yeah, check balls. It doesn't hurt to check.
But I don't see anything.
Yeah, I don't see nothing like you hit it, but you never know. It doesn't hurt to double check, right?
All right, here we go. Going up around the canyons, and then we're going to go have lunch. All right, let's do it. All right, so you know, I checked that saddlebag. Like I said earlier, there was a huge rock that hit the back of my bike, and I was sure that it did some damage to the rim because the bike kind of bounced up on this rock. And a friend of mine recently hit like a piece of wood where she was riding her motorcycle, and it totally dented the rim. So I thought, uh-oh, I hope that's not the case with my bike. So that's why I was checking the saddlebag earlier. So anyway, I hope it didn't do any damage. And when I looked at when I took the saddlebag off, I didn't see any damage. Everything looked okay. So I put the saddlebag back on, and now I'm hitting the highway again. There I am. You're riding my my bike. We're going up through the Santa Clarita Mountain Valley area here in California. And in case you don't know, it's north of Los Angeles and near Magic Mountain, the theme park. Anyway, the lady who's leading the ride, her name is Natalie, and she took us on a whole different path than I usually take. So it was quite little ride, and I really enjoyed it. So you know, I gotta tip my hat to Natalie for doing a great job. Okay, so right now I'm still on the ride. We're going to grab something to eat. But I did want to chime in here a little bit because at the end of this video, the last part of my little video here, I'm going to be back home. And I'm going to talk a lot about Ozzy Osbourne and heavy metal and Black Sabbath and all that kind of stuff. So I hope you stick around to the end of the video because even, you know, I'm doing this kind of ride sort of a little bit as a personal memorial ride to Ozzy. My friends, they're not as dedicated to heavy metal as me, but I'm a metaler. And, you know, when Ozzy passed away, it was really a sad day for me. So as I'm doing this ride, I'm thinking about Ozzy and thinking about, you know, his music and everything that he meant to me and his music meant to me. So this is my little Ozzy Osbourne memorial ride, and you know, I just wanted to do something in honor of Ozzy. So so yeah, I did this. So anyway, if you stick by the to the end of the video, I'd go into more about my feelings about Ozzy. I do want to say one little thing though about the Santa Clarita area that I'm riding in right now. Supposedly, a lot of people have said that they at night, you know, because in the nighttime it's pretty dark here, you know, because as you can tell, there's not too many street lights, right? So a lot of people have claimed to have seen lights in the air, lights in the sky, and a lot of people have said that they've seen UFOs flying overhead here. You know, I don't know if that's true or not, but you know, something a little FYI about the Santa Clarita Valley there to think about. All right, my friends, I'm back. Back home. It was a good ride. I enjoyed it a lot. Natalie's the woman who led the ride, and she did an amazing job. I mean, just took me all over the Santa Clarita Valley there, or you know, up the cliffs, up the mountains, all that kind of stuff. The twisties, as they say. We went up the twisties. Anyway, I'm back home. I'm gonna relax a little bit, and then I'm gonna try to go to Hollywood, maybe tonight, to you know, see the Ozzy Osbourne star, to see his star. I might even stop by Guitar Center because they have a little memorial. Supposedly they have a little memorial there for him. So I'm gonna try to do those two things, and then I'll wrap up this video, you know, talking about my feelings on Ozzy Osbourne and music, heavy metal, all that fun stuff. So stick around. All right, my friends, I'm here in Hollywood. Oh yeah, the mighty Hollywood. I just parked my vehicle there. I decided to come out and see if I can look at Ozzy's star before they take all the flowers and everything down on Hollywood Boulevard. And I'm gonna see if I can find, I got my AC/DC shirt here, but I need to get an Ozzy Osbourne shirt. Well, I do have a Black Sabbath shirt, but it's dirty right now, so I couldn't wear it. So maybe I'll find a good Ozzy shirt. But let's check out and see what's happening at the star of Ozzy Osbourne. Here at Hollywood Boulevard. I hear some Ozzy music.
Burned right down the candle.
Mighty Ozzy Osbourne, rest in peace. It was good for a second. The Ozzy star is just like 2 stars away from Marilyn Monroe. Let me see if I can get a picture of the video of the Marilyn Monroe star.
Yeah, it's 36 miles.
Marilyn Monroe. And Ozzy's right over there. I think it's appropriate. It's Hollywood Boulevard. Hollywood and Highland. A lot of cars. I got myself a shirt. All right, I'm here at Guitar Center, and this is their Ozzy Osbourne memorial right here. Got like a little picture of the Ozman, no more tears. People left some guitar picks and cigarettes. I think Ozzy used to smoke in there in the 70s like everybody else. And then somewhere along the way he quit smoking cigarettes. But I don't know where his start. I'm supposed to say Ozzy Osbourne somewhere down here, but I'm not too sure where. Oh, it says Black Sabbath there. It's Black Sabbath right there. And does it say Ozzy anywhere? I don't know if it says Ozzy. I don't see Ozzy, but there's Black Sabbath. So anyway, rest in peace, Ozzy Osbourne. Okay, I just noticed that it says Ozzy Osbourne right there, and his hand there with people put pics. It looks like some kind of a peso or something there. But yeah, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath. Mr. Crowley, what went on in your head? Mr. Crowley, did you talk to the dead? Your life seems to me so tragic. Okay, I won't go any further because that's my singing ain't that great, and that's the rest of the song gets a little bit more complicated. Your life goes to me so tragic, so tragic. With the thrill of it all. Well, anyway, you got the Ozman here. How you doing, my friends? That's a little bit of Ozzy Osbourne's classic, Mr. Crowley, and just got back from my ride there. Well, actually, I didn't just get back. Let me scratch that. I didn't just get back. In the video, it looks like I just got back. Let me put my pick down for a second. But in reality, my camera here is always acting weird. In reality, this is already maybe a couple days later. As you can tell, I am now wearing, let me take this off for a second. I am now wearing my Ozzy Osbourne t-shirt. You know, in the beginning of the video, I had an AC/DC t-shirt. And then I went to the Ozzy Osbourne memorial there at his star. And let me just cut the noise there on the guitar bit. And then I got this t-shirt. So I now officially got my Ozzy t-shirt. I got my Black Sabbath t-shirt down there as well. It was dirty the other day, it's clean now. But I thought it's appropriate to wear the Ozzy shirt since we're talking about Ozzy. So earlier in the ride, I went on a little bit of my own personal memorial ride. My friends just went on a ride like normal. But for me, I wanted to do a little Ozzy tribute ride. So that was kind of my little Ozzy tribute ride there. And of course, as you saw in the video, I stopped by the Star, and yeah, it was an emotional experience. Ozzy died a couple Tuesdays ago. I think it's about a week ago now. I think about a little over a week as I'm recording this, because I'm recording this on a Friday. So it's about a little week and a half since Ozzy died. And then it's just the video, that I recorded earlier. That was a couple days ago. Not that it really matters. You know, whenever I watch like YouTube videos and it's an old video, somebody might say, "Oh, Merry Christmas" or "Happy New Year's." Of course, it's not Merry Christmas or Happy New Year's anymore, because when you're watching this, it could be, who knows, 4th of July. I don't know. But anyway, so the bottom line is Ozzy Osbourne passed away, and I did a little memorial ride. You know, played a little bit of Mr. Crowley today. And I just wanted to talk, before I wrap up the video here, I wanted to just talk a little bit about Ozzy. You know, he was a guy that had a lot of influence on me. And when I grew up, when I was a little kid, my parents wanted to quiet me up like most parents do, you know. And so they bought me a little record player, and they bought me a Kiss record. So actually Kiss, Love Gun, was the first album I ever got from my parents. Most parents give their kids like a Mickey Mouse record or something, but my parents decide, hey, what the hell, let's give them Kiss, Love Gun. So I listened to that. But shortly thereafter, I got AC/DC's Back in Black, and then I got Ozzy Osbourne's live album, Speak of the Devil, which is actually a live album of Black Sabbath songs. And then after that, I got into Blizzard of Oz, which was Ozzy's first album, and then Diary of a Madman, Bark at the Moon, and then after Bark at the Moon, which I think came out, I want to say in '83. I know that Blizzard of Oz came out in '80, so I'm thinking. Let me check that real quick. Hold on, just let me make sure I'm right on that number here. Make sure. Okay, I just looked it up. So, yes, Bark at the Moon came out in '83. After Bark at the Moon, though, I kind of moved on because I was getting into other metal. So in the late '70s, early '80s, when I was a kid, of course, you know, Kiss, AC/DC, Iron Maiden, Ozzy Osbourne, Judas Priest, all these bands were just coming at me, you know, and I was soaking it all up. I loved it. I loved the whole medieval, and they would talk about demons and castles and all this kind of stuff, and I just thought it was great. But then in the mid '80s, you know, everything became much more about the glam scene, the hair metal scene, the glam rock scene. So you had bands like Mötley Crüe, Poison, Rat, all the '80s bands come out, and I did like them, but I missed that kind of medieval stuff that was going on with Sabbath and Ozzy and AC/DC. Even AC/DC, a lot of people don't think of them as a kind of black magic kind of band. But, you know, I remember Back in Black, which was the first AC/DC album I got. And, you know, Hell's Bells, man. I just loved Hell's Bells. I just thought that was, let me see if I can play a little bit of it. I just thought it was amazing. I was like, that is a great song. Oh yeah, AC/DC. So anyway, Hell's Bells. I remember thinking, wow, Hell's Bells is amazing. I don't know what's with my computer, with my phone. I don't know what's going on with my camera. It just keeps like blacking out on me or something. But anyway, yeah, Hell's Bells was just, you know, to me it was just evil, you know, and I loved it. And so of course the AC/DC all said Highway to Hell, which I later heard, but I heard Back in Black first and I heard Hell's Bells. So anyway, I loved all that kind of medieval, heavy metal kind of sounds where they talked about the devil and going to hell and all this kind of stuff. I just thought it was amazing. And I soaked it up. But when the 80s came out, started happening like 84, 85, 86, you know, when glam metal, hair metal, whatever you want to call it, came out, those guys didn't talk anymore about evil stuff. It was all about, let's go party, let's get drunk, let's go get laid, you know, girls. And, you know, that's cool. I mean, you know, smoking in the boys' room, stuff like that. And it was okay. But the thing is, it kind of moved away from the kind of metal I liked. And Ozzy Osbourne kind of did the same thing. So I think it was in '83 that Bark at the Moon came out. And that was my last kind of super favorite Ozzy Osbourne album, because it was the last one that he still kind of had this Black Sabbath, satanic, evil kind of music. Because after that came out The Ultimate Sin, and then I think it was No Rest for the Wicked, and everything just started to, Ozzy just, in my opinion, started to take that more 80s vibe, you know, of the Motley Crues and the Rats and all that kind of stuff. And it was okay. I'm not saying I didn't like those albums, but they just moved away from what I liked hearing. Even Black Sabbath, you know, during those years where they were kind of lost. The last great Black Sabbath album, in my opinion, was Born Again, which a lot of people don't like, but I think is an amazing album. I mean, Zero the Hero, you got Trashed, you got, what was the Disturbing the Priest. It's just some of the classics. And actually, the very first concert I ever saw was Black Sabbath's Born Again, the Born Again tour. It was amazing. Ian Gillan on the vocals. They did Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. Great show. But anyway, but still, Ozzy had a huge impact on me, and I loved his music. Crazy Train and Over the Mountain, Mr. Crowley, as I just played a little bit of right now. Just just was part of my childhood. So when I heard Ozzy died, you know, I was really bummed out. And he, a couple weeks ago, did the Black Sabbath, the final show with Black Sabbath over there in Birmingham, England. And I tried to get tickets to see that show. I really tried. But, you know, they sold out like in 15 minutes or something. By the time I got on, they said, nope, sold out, no more tickets. And I was like, oh man. So I ended up watching it on, you know, on YouTube there. And yeah, it looked like an amazing show. I wish I could have gone there. And even though Ozzy, you know, obviously wasn't in his best health. I mean, the guy couldn't stand up or anything, but still he could sing pretty good. I thought he did really good. I was like, wow, man. And even after that show, a lot of people were saying, oh man, Ozzy, you know, he can maybe go back on tour, maybe do a couple more shows. And Ozzy himself were talking about making some more records and this and that. So, you know, nobody really, I don't think even Ozzy or anybody really saw the end coming this fast. They probably figured he's got maybe another couple years or something. But then, you know, basically like 2 weeks later, you know, he passes away. So it was really depressing for me. I was really down, as many people were, and I think still are, about Ozzy's passing. And when I went to and mind you, there's been a lot of famous people who have passed away. Meatloaf, Ronnie James Dio, and then of course a lot of famous movie stars. But I've never gone to anybody's star, even though Hollywood is not far from where I'm living. Because, yeah, you're like, oh man, that sucks that, you know, Meatloaf died. That sucks that, you know, Ronnie James Dio died. But when Ozzy died, I felt like, man, I have to go to his star. And I've been watching all these YouTube videos where people are talking about Ozzy, and one guy came out and he said, oh, you know, he waited a couple days before making his video, and he said, oh, I didn't make my video right away because I didn't want to get a bunch of likes and thumbs up because, you know, out of the misery of others, meaning because Ozzy dies, he didn't want to like get, you know, I guess his accolades for that. But then I thought, but now you're posting again. So apparently if you wait a couple of days, it's okay to do that. But for me, making this video is not about thumbs up or everybody said, oh, Oz, yeah, you know, thanks for that memorial video or whatever. I thought the world of Ozzy Osbourne had a huge impact on me. Heavy metal has had a huge impact on me. Even to this day, I'm 55, I'm gonna be 56 pretty soon. And I still listen to heavy metal. And even in the mid-'80s, one reason I was moving away from Ozzy and Rat and these people was that I was, you know, that's when Metallica started showing up, that's when Slayer showed up, you know, a lot of these more thrashing kind of bands came out, Exodus, and I got into those guys. I was like, wow, I remember the first time I heard Metallica, I was like, wow, I was blown away. I couldn't believe a band could play that aggressively. I thought, you know, Judas Priest was fast. I mean, you know, Metallica blew them away. And then shortly after Metallica, a friend introduced me to Slayer. And I was like, wow, Slayer. And then after that, I got into the whole black metal stuff, starting with Bathory, the legendary Bathory, with Mighty Korthon leading the way with the Swedish, I call it the Swedish black metal. Some people call it Swedish death metal. I personally think Bathory is black metal, not death metal. But, you know, that's debatable. And then, of course, after that, the 90s came. And then, you know, as you might know, grunge rock came into the scene with Nirvana, Stone Temple Pilots, and all that stuff. But for me, you know, a lot of people were crying about the end of 80s metal, you know, the hair metal. But I didn't care because at that time, death metal was coming on the scene and black metal was really taking off. I mean, you know, you had Dark Throne, Mayhem, you had the death metal scene, Cannibal Corpse, Deicide, Morbid Angel. So for me, and I like those bands, especially because they kept the theme of darkness and castles and sorcerers and all that kind of medieval stuff that I loved. They were talking about that. I didn't really care that 80s metal was disappearing because I didn't care anymore about, I mean, what do I care about smoking in the boys' room? I mean, you know, who cares? And grunge rock, you know, I didn't really dig it. I mean, I kind of appreciate it a little bit more now, but you know, a friend of mine, he was in the Soundgarden, and he always said, "Oh, did you hear that song, Spoon Man? Spoon Man is the greatest song." I think it's an okay song. And Nirvana, you know, they're okay, but they never blew me away. When they came on the scene, I was like, whatever. You know, by then I was deep in the black metal world, hearing about Euronymous and Count Grishnak and, you know, Dead and Hellhammer and all this Norwegian stuff and everything going on in Florida with the death metal scene. I you know, bands like Dissection were coming out. I mean, yeah, it was just an amazing Emperor, you know, just an amazing time for brutal black metal and death metal. And then Ozzy did come out with, I think, Osmosis around that time. It was okay. You know, he had that song, Perry Mason. And that was okay. But, you know, by then I was so in this whole other heavy metal world. But anyway, the thing is, and then of course in the early 2000s, Ozzy does his Ozzy show. And I really enjoyed that show. Like everybody else, I watched it. I thought it was hilarious. And just a great show. But anyway, always been a big fan of Ozzy. When I heard he passed away, I was really down about it. I don't usually get affected that much, but that day, I remember being at work and I was like, just out of, like in another dimension or something. I just really was not focused at all on work because I was just so down about Ozzy. So, you know, I wanted just to make this short little video about Ozzy. And, you know, just say, you know, rest in peace, Ozzy. You've meant a lot to me. Your music meant a lot to me. And I'm going to, you know, I've been listening to a lot of Black Sabbath, a lot of Ozzy these last few days. And, you know, just trying to remember, you know, the great music that he left behind. I do also got a little guitar story. So I don't know if you watched my last video, but I'm going to throw in this little story because it's somewhat appropriate. So, you know, I'm not the best guitar player. I know you're shocked because you just heard my Mr. Crowley opener. You probably thought, you know, aren't you related to Eddie Van Halen? But I'm not. Well, I got an Explorer, so I must know James James Hetfield must have taught me personally. But no, he did not. But when I was younger, I did try to get into bands. And when I was really young, I mean, like super young, like maybe 10 or 11 years old, I learned what I thought was the correct way to play Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne. And, you know, I would listen to the radio and I thought, oh, this is pretty good. I even asked other guitar players at the time, and this is, mind you, this is like the early 80s, and they were like, yeah, that sounds about right. And I played it. I'm going to show you how I played it, okay? Just so you know, right? So this is how I used to play Crazy Train. And I thought it was brilliant. I was so proud of myself, and I played this for years. So I would do that, right? So I would go back and forth. And I would play that for years, like decades. And then in the early 2000s, this guy, I met this dude, another guy I met. If you watched my last video, I was telling you about this other dude I met. This is a whole nother person. So I met this guy, and I said, hey, I play the guitar, and he's like, oh, I have a band. Me and my brother have a band. Why don't you come? We need another guitar player. And I was like, okay, cool, sure, I'll come down. So I went to their studio, and the brother said, well, what song do you know how to play? And I said, well, I know a little bit about Crazy. I know a little Crazy Train. And the guy's like, oh, okay, so play me some Crazy Train. So I started doing just what I did, right? I go, and then he stopped my guitar. I mean, he put his hand like that. And he goes, that is completely wrong. That is completely wrong. You do not play Crazy Train like that. He was like kind of pissed. And I was like, I was taken aback a little bit. Like, dude, calm down, man. What are you talking about? I played it since 1980, whatever, 82, whenever I learned this little riff. And I listened to the record, and it sounded like the record goes, no, you're wrong. That is not how you play it. You need to get I remember this is like the early 2000s, so the internet was there, but it wasn't like it is now. So he said, you need to go to Guitar Center and get a Ozzy Osbourne music book and learn how to play it properly. Anyway, I would always play Crazy Train, like that, right? And he hated it. He's like, that's not how you play. You have to play like this. So that's how you're supposed to play it. And so I was like, okay, fine. Then he goes, what other song you know? And I said, I know a little bit of Metallica's For Whom the Bell Tolls. And he goes, okay, let's do a little bit of that. So, and most of the song is just things like this. And then you got this beginning part that goes. And that's kind of the whole song. I mean, they just do this. It's been a while since I played it, but. Well, anyway, so I played a little bit of that, and we did go through For Whom the Bell Tolls. But at the end, the guy's like, well, now mind you, this is the brother. So this is not the guy that I met and who invited me to audition and everything. This is the brother who's yelling at me about how I don't play Crazy Train correctly. And even though we did manage to get through For Whom the Bell Tolls, he was like, oh, I don't think you had our standards, just like that other guy. So I was like, okay, that's fine. It was cool. It was nice meeting you all. Everything's cool. But then his brother, who was really nice, said, "Oh no, Oz, no, we want you. I don't want you, to leave. Why don't you stay? You could play with us. Maybe we need someone to take over bass because their bass player was about to. He was leaving the band." And I was like, no, it's okay. I'm not really interested in, being the bass player. So, no worries. Now, mind you, it's not that I didn't want to play the bass or I wouldn't learn the bass. But, I just didn't like his brother. The brother just came across to me as a jerk. He even if he didn't like the way I played Crazy Train or he didn't like, the way I played For Whom the Bell Tolls or whatever, I think that he should have, there's nicer ways to say things. He could have just said, hey, you're playing it different than I've always learned it. Let me show you how we play it, and something like that. But at the end, I was like, what these guys. The brother was very cool, and actually, the bass player who was quitting, he was very nice too. The drummer was very quiet. Oh, and by the way, the brother who was nice, he's the singer, and then the other brother who wasn't nice, he was the lead guitar player. So I would have been the rhythm guitar player. But all of them were nice except for the brother. But the brother, he seemed like he had a lot of sway in the band. I just saw him as a guy that kind of in a way ran the band. Sort of like, talking about Metallica, he's probably like a Lars Ulrich kind of guy, So anyway, long story short, I said, no, it's cool, and that was the last time I spoke to those people as well. And then I went home and that was that. and tried to audition for another band, but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I thought I'd throw in that little bit of a story, just so, because it is a little bit Ozzy Osbourne related with Crazy Train. So I think I'm gonna wrap up this video now, but yeah, Ozzy Osbourne, he's gonna be missed. The man was a legend. You know, another YouTuber said this, so I'm gonna steal his quote, but I thought it was a very, very good quote. He goes, other singers sing heavy metal music or sing heavy metal songs, but Ozzy was heavy metal itself. And I agree with that. Ozzy was, if you could make heavy metal a person, Ozzy Osbourne. Now, it's a tough line because I also think Rob Halford of Judas Priest is very heavy metalish. But in all fairness, Ozzy did come out, and Black Sabbath came out before the Priest. So I have to, you know, as far as I'm concerned, Black Sabbath was the inventors of heavy metal. They may have not ever accepted that title, but for me, they were the inventors. And even James Hetfield of Metallica said that without Black Sabbath, there'd be no Metallica. And I also want to throw in one more story. And I may not be remembering this correctly because it's been a while, but I heard a story once that Ozzy, back in the late 60s, early 70s, right there, I don't know the exact year, but you know, 68, 69, 70, somewhere in that ballpark. He was at a bar in England somewhere, and Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin walked in. And they knew each other. I guess it's a small community. So he knew Robert Plant, and Robert Plant knew Ozzy. And Robert Plant sat down, and Ozzy said, hey, let's have a beer, mate. And so they had a beer. And at that time, Robert Plant was telling him, hey, you know, Jimmy Page is starting a new band, and he wants me to be the singer. Jimmy Page, the guitar player for Led Zeppelin, used to be in the Yardbirds, but the Yardbirds broke up, so he was starting his new band, which would be Led Zeppelin. And he said to Robert Plant, I would like you to be the singer of my new band, Led Zeppelin. So, but Robert Plant, I guess, might have had some second thoughts or so about it, and he was telling Ozzy, he goes, you know, I'm not too sure if I should join this band. You know, maybe, you know, there's other bands that want me. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Jimmy's cool, but I don't know about this Led Zeppelin thing. And Ozzy said to him, I think you should take it, mate. I think you should do it. What the hell? Go for it. Who knows? Maybe it takes off. And Robert, you know, after going back and forth, said, you know what, Ozzy? You've convinced me. I'm gonna take the singer. I'm gonna be the singer of this Led Zeppelin. We'll see what happens. And of course, as you know, Led Zeppelin became legendary. They're one of the biggest bands ever. And even Ozzy himself once said that when Led Zeppelin really took off, and you know, they had that song, what was it, Whole Lot of Love. In Whole Lot of Love, if you know that song, there's a part where they do this whole kind of like moaning, and this kind of moaning part where they're going, yeah, woo, oh, I can't really recreate it. But you know the song. And Ozzy said that Black Sabbath, wanted to do something similar, but they could never quite get that same magic that Led Zeppelin got in Whole Lot of Love. But anyway, I guess that's it for now. So until the next video, my friends, you know, ride like the wind, don't let that wind ride you. And whatever you do, when you're playing, if you ever play the guitar and you go to an audition and they ask you, do you know Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne? Make sure you don't play it like this. Because they will yell at you. You know, trust me, they will yell at you. Make sure you play it like this. And maybe not even like that, because this is not the best version, but anyway, until next time, my friends, ride like the wind, don't let that wind ride you, and I'll see you on the next video. Oh, and make sure you're wearing some tall boots. Whatever you do in life, make sure you're wearing tall boots. All right, see you next time, my friends.